Selling your home in retirement could change your age pension before you've even signed the settlement papers. Most people don't realize that. They think of a house sale as a property decision. Find a buyer, agree on a price, move on with life. But the moment that sale settles, Centrelink starts looking at your situation differently. And if you don't understand why, you could end up with a pension payment that's smaller than you expected at exactly the time you least want a surprise. Picture this. You've lived in the same home for decades. The kids are grown, the garden's become too much work, and downsizing finally makes sense. You put the house on the market, it sells faster than you thought, and suddenly you're holding a large sum of money while you search for the next place. It feels like a win. More cash, less maintenance, a fresh start. But here's what most Australians don't realize. That period between selling and buying again is exactly when your pension can be most exposed. Let's slow down and unpack why. Your family home has a special status under the pension rules. While you live in it, it's generally not counted the same way other assets are. That's one of the reasons so many retirees feel comfortable staying in a home that's grown too big for them. The roof over your head isn't treated like money sitting in the bank. But the instant you sell that home, the protection attached to it doesn't automatically transfer to the cash sitting in your account. That money is now assessable. It's counted. And depending on how much of it there is, it can shift your total assets into a different bracket than you were in the week before. But that's not even the part that surprises most people. Here's the hidden concept most retirees never hear about until it affects them directly: deeming. When you sell your home and the proceeds sit in your bank account, even temporarily, Centrelink doesn't wait to see what you actually earn on that money in interest. Instead, they apply a deeming rate, an assumed rate of return, regardless of whether your money is sitting in a low-interest account or earning nothing at all while you search for your next home. That deemed income gets added to your assessable income for pension purposes. So even if your sale proceeds are just parked, waiting, doing nothing, Centrelink may still count them as if they're generating income. That single detail catches a huge number of Australians completely off guard. Now here's where it gets more layered, because this next part is where a lot of people get caught without realizing it. There's a temporary exemption that can apply to sale proceeds while you're genuinely looking to buy or build another home. This exists precisely because the government recognizes that selling and buying don't usually happen on the same day. But that exemption has conditions attached to it, and it isn't indefinite. If you take longer than the allowed window to reinvest that money into your next home, the rules around how it's assessed can change. This is exactly why so many retirees who intended for a smooth, temporary transition ended up with a pension reduction they never saw coming. Not because they did anything wrong, but because they didn't know there was a clock running in the background. Think about a retirement calculator for a moment and how differently the numbers can look depending on which side of that exemption window you land on. Two people, same sale price, same intentions, but one settles into a new home within the allowed period, and the other takes a little longer because the right property hasn't come up yet. On paper, they made the exact same decision. In practice, their pension outcomes over the following months could look completely different. But here's the part that's arguably the most valuable insight in this entire topic, and it's the one almost nobody talks about. Downsizing doesn't just affect your assets. It can also quietly affect your income assessment through the same deeming mechanism, and it can interact with your age pension in ways that go beyond a simple sell high, buy low calculation. If you sell your home and buy a cheaper one, the leftover funds don't disappear from Centrelink's view just because you've spent some of it on the new place. Whatever remains after the purchase is still assessable, still subject to deeming, and still part of the picture that determines your fortnightly payment. Many retirees downsize expecting a straightforward boost to their savings, and are surprised to discover their pension has moved as a direct result, sometimes up, sometimes down, depending entirely on how the numbers fall relative to the thresholds in place at the time. And there's one more layer sitting underneath all of this that catches people out just as often: reporting. Any change to your assets or income, including a home sale, generally needs to be reported to Services Australia within a set time frame. It's not automatic. It's not something that happens quietly in the background because the money moved through your bank account. If you don't report the sale and the resulting change in your assessable assets, you can end up being overpaid. And overpayments have a habit of needing to be paid back later, sometimes at a point when you've already spent the money assuming it was yours to keep. Let's bring this to life with a short scenario. Imagine two retirees, both selling similar homes around the same time, both planning to downsize into something smaller and more manageable. The first one sells, deposits the proceeds, and simply waits for the right new home to appear without checking how the exemption window applies or reporting the change straight away. Months pass. The new home takes longer to find than expected. By the time they move in, their pension payments have already been recalculated using deemed income they didn't realize was being counted, and they're left trying to understand why their payment dropped without warning. The second retiree takes a different approach. Before selling, they take the time to understand how the temporary exemption works, roughly how long they have to reinvest the proceeds, and what needs to be reported and when. They keep records of the settlement date, the amount held, and their genuine efforts to purchase again. When their new home purchase settles within the window, their situation is assessed cleanly, with no unexpected surprises and no need to untangle an overpayment later. Same decision, same intention. Two very different experiences, because one retiree understood the mechanics sitting quietly behind the sale, and the other didn't. So what does this actually mean for you if selling or downsizing is somewhere in your future? Start by understanding that your family home's protected status doesn't travel with the sale, proceeds automatically. The moment the money is in your account, it's generally assessable, and deeming rules are likely to apply to it. If you're planning to buy again, look into how long a temporary exemption period might last for your situation, and be realistic about your property search timeline against that window. Keep clear records, settlement dates, amounts, and any communication with real estate agents or conveyancers showing you're actively looking to reinvest. And critically, report the sale to Services Australia within the required time frame, rather than assuming it will be picked up automatically. None of this replaces proper advice for your specific circumstances. Rules around assets, income, deeming, and reporting can shift, and the exact figures and thresholds change from time to time. What matters most isn't memorizing every number. It's understanding that a home sale is a pension event, not just a property event, and treating it with the same care you'd give any major financial decision. Here's the core of it. A home sale can be one of the most significant financial moments of your retirement, and the difference between a smooth transition and an unexpected pension drop often comes down to a handful of details most people never think to check until it's too late. Understanding the exemption window, the role of deeming, and your reporting obligations puts you back in control of the outcome, instead of finding out the hard way months after settlement. If this helped you see your own situation a little more clearly, take a moment to subscribe and let us know in the comments whether downsizing is something you're currently considering. And if you want to understand how your pension is assessed more broadly, the next video walks you through exactly that.